Good afternoon. Let's bring the meeting to order. This is the Historic District Commission, Town of Fairfield. Today is May 21st, 2026. The notice of this hearing was published on Friday, May 8th, 2026, edition of the Fairfield Citizen. Let's take attendance. Darren Raymond Locke. Here. Art Gravanis.
Here.
Jim Acamondo.
Here.
Jim Bohan.
Here.
Greg Valente.
Here.
I'm Rosina Negron. Absent today are George Clark and Maura Garrick, I believe will be coming shortly. Let's go ahead and start. The first item on the agenda is Suzanne Carberry, 52 Main Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 52 Main Street, Southport, for A, add larger garage door to existing 3-car garage, and B, add 4 vintage light fixtures to the garage for safety and aesthetics. Is there anyone here representing this application?
I am.
Hold on, Maura Garrick is present now. Do you have your presentation or will you like for me to pull it?
I'd be delighted for you to pull it and I can answer any. So we have 2-car garage with a 3rd space that is actually the same size as the 2 doors, but it doesn't have an automatic garage door opener. And we have 3 cars. So what we'd like to do is absolutely replicating exactly the doors as they are. I don't know, do you have pictures or?
So this is the picture of that.
Yeah.
Are you Suzanne?
I am. Yeah, so one door was for firewood, I think. But it fits a car. So we would just like to be able to make that adjustment with, a carpenter and folks who put in garage doors and then add some lighting because it's kind of dark by the barn.
Okay. Any questions, Darren?
None for me, thank you.
Art?
Do you have any picture or description of the lighting you're proposing, or
Yes.
is that not part of the,
No, I think we did include it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Suzanne's partner in the house. I'm Jack Bricker, B-R-I-C-K-E-R. I took those pictures of the lights on another structure. And just to give an idea of what they were like illuminated. And then I also gave the manufacturer, I think I actually took pictures of the boxes. There it is right there. And they're really nice looking. They're old, kind of rusty when they're new. And actually they will replace on the garage right now. On the eave, there are actually recessed, modern looking lights. So the plan is to disconnect those and use the lanterns. I think it'll give a lot more of a historic look.
that's fine, thank you.
Sure.
Maura?
No questions, thank you.
Jim A?
You answered mine, thanks. No
Jim
questions.
B?
No questions.
Greg?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. We did not receive. Is there anyone from the public that has
No.
any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application, nor any letters opposing this application. Thank you.
Right.
The next item in the agenda is Andrew and Amanda Cooley, 406 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 406 Old Post Road. For a replacement of existing front yard fence and historically appropriate picket style. Is there anyone here to present this application?
I am Andrew Cooley.
Would you like for me to?
Yes, see it much better up there than my paper.
You can start.
Okay, so we bought this house from my in-laws a number of years ago. That fence has been repaired beyond repair at this point. So when the snow melted, it was finally time to change it out. But what we're just asking to do is instead of having the staggered picket fence, we'll have the same height fence, cedar fence, with just a consistent line, which is pretty consistent with a lot of the fences you see on the old post road, with the front-facing fence having the center post behind the fence. So it's just a continuous base there. And along the property line, it remains as existing. And then we want to put a gate in between the front yard and the backyard. And that's the same gate style that we would have now. But really, it's just changing the staggered fence.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any questions, Darren?
None for me, thank you.
Art,
None.
Maura,
None.
Jim A,
None.
Jim B,
No.
Greg?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Is
Okay.
there anyone from the public that has any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application or against opposing this application. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
The next item in the agenda is Elizabeth Spraker Albertini, 3113 Bronson Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 3113 Bronson Road, to install custom-made cover gutter to the main block of the house, only the facade. Is there anyone here to present this application?
That's me. I'm Dr. Darren Raymond Locke. I'm representing the owner. Could you share the application for me, please?
I could. And just for the record, Darren will
I will be,
vote for this, yes. So we'll put Maura as our alternate for this one.
perfect. Can we go to the next slide? I think is a closer photograph. Yes, okay, so the main facade of the house, the portion on the right, has had a lot of water damage due to the gutters there being inadequate. On the left side of the house, there are these beautiful U-shaped copper gutters. The owners would like to replicate that gutter on the right portion of the house. They are adequately removing water from the roof and not overflowing, and just really, really beautiful and simple, and they just want to make it uniform across the house. And these are, so this shows some of the, at the top there, if you scroll down just a tiny bit, you can see some of the rot that's coming out of the gutters, or because of the gutters. It has trickled down the facade. The window sashes are being restored as we speak, where they're being repaired in kind, as is that cornice. The new copper gutters will not hide any of that beautiful dental detail. And that's it.
Okay. Are there any questions, Art,
None.
Maura,
No questions.
Jim A,
None, thanks.
Jim B,
No, thank you.
Greg?
No questions.
I don't have any questions. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application, nor opposing this application. Thank you. The next item in the agenda is Robert and Amelia Johnson, 187 Westway Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 187 Westway Road. Changes for 8 changes to previously approved garage doors. Is there anyone here representing this application? Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, I'd like to apologize for not being there in person. But because the hearing was set on a different date, I had already made travel plans, so I'll try to do a good job of this. This one's very simple. we designed, and if you could put the drawings up, that would be great.
Yes.
Basically, we want to make a change to the garage that's being built now. And the original garage door design, and you can see it from Westway, involved multi-panel garage doors. And as the doors, were going into shop drawings, the clients and some of their close advisors thought that the multi-panel design was too busy. So we designed a different layout, which is basically the doors will be 2 panels. And when I say 2 panels, I'm talking about these doors are designed to look like double doors. So each single garage opening looks like it has 2 doors, and each one of those doors has 2 panels. If you could scroll down and show how that would look. So you can see the multi-panel design, and below it is the 2-panel design. And that's really the sum total of the change. It's all wood, same type of construction, just different layout.
Thank you. Are there any questions, Darren?
No, I like the change. I think it simplifies the overall look. Thank you.
Art,
Looks good, Jack.
Laura?
Yeah, I like the change, and Jack, I just was gonna confirm, because I didn't see in the notes the material, but you just confirmed it.
Yes.
Jim A?
No questions.
Jim B?
No questions.
Craig?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions? Here, no, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application or opposing this application, so this one is closed. Thank you. The next item in the agenda is Sean Polly and Madeline Livingston, 180 Main Street, number 2, for a property located at 180 Main Street, number 2, for A, new roof, B, new trim, C, new siding, D, new windows, E, new doors, F, new portico with roofs, G, new shed enclosure, and H, new upper gutters. Is there anyone here representing this application?
Yes, Rosina, I'm representing the application. Jack Franson here again. And this building it's on Main Street. It's not very prominent because it's behind the old Bulkley Mansion. And I believe it was in the late 1970s or the early 1980s, this property was converted into condominiums. And the building in question is the one that Rosina is marking with her cursor. It was an accessory building to the mansion. And when those units in the rear were converted to condominiums, they put new windows and new siding, but they really looked more like barracks than homes. They were not, in my opinion, done in a very appropriate way. You can't see them very easily from the road, but you can see them if you take the vegetation away, especially on the, I guess it'd be on the northeast corner. You can really see it if you look back through the woods there. What we're proposing to do is to remove the roof shingles and replace them with wood shingles. It would be Western red cedar. Replace the trim, which would be the overhangs and also the corner boards and window casings. And you can see the before and after. The before is on the top, the after is on the bottom. The windows we're replacing, but I should point out we're only replacing the windows from the 1980s. There are 2 old windows on the upper level that are, I believe, original to the house. in their Italianate style. I don't know the age of this building, but just from the windows, I would say probably the late 1870s to mid 1870s. I have a map that I own, and this building, and I think the map was from 1873, and this building does not appear on it. But that style of window sort of went away around the mid 1880s. So I think the only real, other than the massing of this building, the only remnant is the pair of windows that you see on the two sides. So we are proposing to change the windows. There are 3 picture windows on the front. We're changing them to windows that are multi-pane windows, but paired windows, trying to get the glass proportions to be more harmonious instead of the cacophony of glass proportions that you currently see. We would also like to add a portico, which will have little brackets attaching it to the house. And that will provide shelter over the existing porch. And we want to put a new door on the front of the house. The existing door is not original. We want to put new gutters, and when we do the roof, we want to create rake extensions. Right now, there's almost no rake extension on the house. And when we finish, there'll be a rake extension roughly equal to the overhangs on the eaves. The last item, we want to construct a shed, a lean-to shed on the side of the building that faces away from Main Street. And that will be, the purpose of that is to hide, there's going to be a propane tank. I think there already is one there now. And, other outdoor accessories and equipment like garden tools and wheelbarrows and stuff like that. Because this building doesn't have any storage attached to it other than what we're proposing. And the windows and doors will be all wood. The windows will be wood SDL construction. The gutters will be copper. The flashings will be copper. The plans have been shared with the HOA, the Homeowners Association, and they green lighted this to be presented today. So I think actually the application is formally from the HOA, but it's the residents of the house that are doing this work. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Darren, do you have any questions?
No questions for me.
Art, do you have any questions?
None.
Maura, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank
Jim?
you.
No
Jimmy?
questions.
JP?
No.
Greg?
No questions.
And I do not have any questions. Is there anyone in the public that has any questions? Hearing none, there were no letters in favor of this application nor opposing this application. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Rosina.
The next item in the agenda is Hidden Pond LLC, 965 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 965 Old Post Road. For A, replace dilapidated white picket fence in front yard running parallel to Old Post Road with similar kind and quality. B, replace white gate on the west side of the house with gate of same size and quality and relocate it towards the front of the house to block view of air compressors. C, enhance existing asphalt driveway. D, add bluestone curving along sides of oil and stone driveway. E, replace white picket fence on the east side of the house spanning across the driveway with a traditional black iron fence design. Is there anyone here representing this application?
I am Rob McMahon. Apologies, my wife couldn't be here. She was the one who had submitted the application, so I apologize also for reading off the notes that she created because she didn't trust that I would remember everything. If it's okay with you all, maybe what we can do is bring up whatever pictures you have, and then I can attempt to address this one at a time. So my name is Rob McMahon. I live at 965 Old Post Road with my family. I'm here this evening to obtain, receive a certificate of appropriateness for 5 of the items that you mentioned. Item 1 is the white picket fence running parallel to Old Post Road. The prior fence had deteriorated past the point of meaningful repair. And so we had it removed during the construction of a porch that we recently constructed, which was approved by this commission about a year or so ago. We are proposing a lake for lake replacement, the same 4-foot height, the same painted white wood, the same picket design. In fact, we are going to use as a template a fence that is across the street that we think is slightly aesthetically more pleasing, as it's got the columns in between the panels as opposed to all just panels without the pillars or posts. Item number 2 is the west side gate. The gate itself will not change, although it will be new. We are moving it forward closer to the street by 27.5 feet so that it screens air compressors that are there from public view. The compressors are important to us, obviously, but they are visible from the post road. We thought that would be an improved cosmetic change. Yeah, we're holding the gate the same 4-foot high as the other. And it'll be the same design as well, but it'll be in gate form with, much smaller paneling on the left and the right of it. Item 3 is the driveway itself. The current surface is cracked black asphalt. We'd like to replace it with oil and stone using a native grit chosen to match the gray and brown tones of the home's existing foundation. In addition, we're narrowing the entry of the driveway to 10 feet. It's the minimum functional amount in an effort to adhere to section C6. There's going to be, we're seeking approval for a 1-car length pullover section in the plan, which allows guests and service vehicles to step off of this road safely and pull into the property without interfering with a car that may be attempting to leave the property. And we had shown that to Chris Rogers in the Fairfields Town and Planning and Zoning, and he reviewed and approved that configuration. I'm going to believe we submitted that stamped map, but I have a copy of the original if you need that. Item 4 is the bluestone curbing. Guidelines list bluestone on edge by name as an approved curbing material. And so our curbing, we believe, meets that specification. And there's dimensions of, there's the perimeter in the beginning that you can see that will have. And then the last item is item 5, the east side gate. We had replaced a very badly deteriorated white picket gate with a black iron picket gate in the same location with the same footprint. Unbeknownst to us, we did not realize that would have been in the purview of the historic district. And we had actually sought counsel on that and got bad advice, unfortunately. But we thought it was sufficiently far enough in the rear because it basically abuts the rear perimeter of the house that it would not be an issue. We went with the iron choice for a couple of reasons. One is because it's a functional gate that is open numerous times during the course of the day. The wood just does not hold up the framing in terms of the opening and closing. And for personal security reasons that I have, it's important that we have something that is durable and walkable. So let's see, is there something more on this? Yeah, so our design's a 4-foot picket, traditional 3 horizontal rails on ball finials on the top. The footprint did not change, and the gate is visible only obliquely from Old Post Road, not in the primary line of sight. The black color was chosen primarily to reduce visual prominence from the street. We wanted to try to make it as visible as possible, frankly. Yeah, so those are the 5 changes.
Okay. Darren, do you have any questions?
No questions for me.
Art, do you have any questions?
None.
Maura, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Jim A?
No questions.
Jim B?
No questions.
Greg?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Is there anyone from the public that might have any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application. nor opposing this application. Thank you very much. The next item in the agenda is Patricia Brandt, 1 Church Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 1 Church Street, Southport, Connecticut, for A, replace existing original 3 garage doors with the ones in the pictures attached. The 3-car garage is a separate building. Is there anyone here to present this application?
It's me, Patricia Brandt, homeowner. Thank you. And Rosina, I would love if you pulled it up as well. So the garage is a 3-car garage. It's a separate stone structure on the property. It was constructed, we realized in the inside, there's a 1921 marking on the stone. So it was created, not the original house is from 1830s. And so that was after the fact. But anyway, it's, oh, and we moved in December and we're so thrilled to be in South Florida, really loving it. As an aside, but anyway, so we did approval and we replaced the cedar roof on the structure. I think there's a picture of the doors. They're basically similar to, consistent with other doors. You know, we drove around, took many pictures of many doors throughout Southport. I think in the historic district and not in historic district, and we decided on this with the 3 windows and the 2 panels below. In fact, the people right across from our driveway have the exact same ones. I hope they're okay with that. They would be painted white, and I had presented this prior with a different composite, and these are for the actual wood, 100% wood doors. The same company, but they are different doors. There would also be electric installed.
Okay, thank you. Darren, do you have any questions?
No questions for me.
Art?
None.
Maura?
No questions.
Jim A?
No questions.
No questions?
Greg?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor of this application nor opposing this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item in the agenda is Rose Hill on Harbor LLC, 331 and 385 Harbor Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 331, 385 Harbor Road. For A, replace installation of a stepping stone walkway for access from existing structures to an existing bush court with proposed stones to match existing stepping stones. B, minor realignment of existing bush court. C, installation of permeable bluestone borders along the proposed walkway. D, proposed retaining walls south of the existing in-ground pool. And E, installation of path lighting along stepping stone walkway to match existing path lighting. Is there anyone here to present this application?
Yes, Chair, Commissioners, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC, offices at 10 Saskell Hill Road in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant, along with Chris Thorpe, who designed these plans that we are going to go through. So this application is for rear yard improvements that are designed to extend and align with the existing features, materials, and landscape patterns that are already present on the site. You know, as I said, it was prepared by Chris Thorpe. You know, if you have any specific questions, he can step in and answer. And you're moving through this agenda pretty quickly, so I'll go through this, and if he needs to step in, he can. So this site, it's actually, there's 2 contiguous parcels together, 331 and 385 Harbor Road. The primary dwelling was built in 1854. It's located along Harbor Road, it's got a detached garage. Thanks, Chair. And you can see the detached garage there on the right. There's also a garden shed as far as structures. Just a note, because I know we came to you before on this property to discuss an addition to the garage. That's hopefully going to be coming to you soon, but it's not before you on this application. We're just talking about these rear yard improvements. The improvements being discussed here today are actually not visible from Harbor Road, because as you likely know, there's a steep slope drop off once you get past the primary dwelling. But an application is required because some of these improvements would be visible from Southport Harbor, which is within your district. In reality, a lot of them won't be because they are at or slightly above grade. And if you saw the renderings and photos we submitted, the harbor, you know, if you're looking from the harbor, you're significantly set down. So particularly the at-grade improvements you wouldn't actually see. The existing rear yard features include an in-ground pool, elevated gardens, an existing bocce court. There's some dry laid stone retaining walls. There's stepping stone walkways that connect the various structures and areas of the yard. And there's some existing path lighting that's there as well that we are extending. So to go through the improvements, the first is the stepping stone walkways. They are connecting the pool area and from the garden shed down to the bocce court. So you can see here, this is the stepping stone walkway. It goes down to the bocce court, and then so the next plan, so the next plan, you can see here's the pool, and it's just extending down the stepping stone walkway that's leading to a new terrace, which I'm going to discuss, and then continues on to connect you to the bocce court. So again, it's meant to match the existing stepping stone walkway. You can see over there, it comes down, that's already existing alongside the elevated gardens, and then it's continuing. So it's just continuing on to connect these features. The next request is an existing bocce court that you can see here. It's located approximately midway down the rear slope. We're proposing a minor realignment to align it with the retaining wall. It's currently askew, so we're looking to make it parallel. Again, it's at grade, so it's not really, you know, visible from the harbor. There's no change in materials proposed with that. The other is the terrace that I was mentioning. So that's a 15 by 30 terrace. It's a bluestone terrace. It's situated, there's an existing retaining wall below the pool, and then it's going to be in between. There's another retaining wall that we're proposing there. So it's going to be in between those, obviously on grade. It's going to consist of a regularly shaped bluestone with the joints and cracks seeded with thyme or a similar low growth planting, which is exactly what my wife wants to do at our house. So I'm going to be copying this plan from Chris. Again, it's not really visible, but we are proposing that. The next is the retaining wall south of the existing of this pool and where this terrace is. These retaining walls, just so you know, and I have some renderings, those are already there. We had submitted for a repair order for those because we're redoing those.
I think it might be interesting to note that this scheme shows how it's all linked up in our proposed version, but the dark hatched are the proposed walls,
Right.
and the non-dark hatched are repaired existing walls. So we tried to knit together these residual landscape features into some sort of meaningful connection.
Right. So, just trying to connect these features. We did put on there measurements of spot elevations for bottom of wall, top of wall, just so you know size. But again, I have some renderings that I could show you that depicts that. Then the next is path lighting, which I believe we have. If you can find that. So the site already contains this low voltage path lighting. It's along existing rear yard structures. You can see where we're proposing it now along this new path. So we're just continuing that along the proposed walkway. They're low voltage, ground mounted and downlit. They're very minimal. There should be a plan that show or a detail sheet that shows them. But they're 11.2 inches in height, 6 inches in width, and they're intended solely for path illumination. You know, they're not meant for anything else. The other thing that you probably saw in the submission is there's an extensive landscaping plan throughout the rear yard. There's a lot of native and ornamental species proposed. The lower slope and waterfront areas are proposed with native plants and meadow. There's the path lighting. So that's pretty much it for improvements. I don't know, is there anything I missed that you thought that,
I think you touched on it, but just reiterate that every one of the material selections was intended to match existing. So we've got path lights matching existing that are extensive around the dwelling, wall materials to match existing, paving to match existing. The intent is that we would be seamless with existing and our new work.
okay, and then just to show you again, those plans that I mentioned, which were submitted. Here's the site plan, but I'm talking about so these are just some aerial views, just to show you where the existing bocce court is and kind of how it looks, you know, a picture of it and how it looks there. You can see the retaining walls that are already present. Bocce court, you see the bocce court there. We try to submit a rendering, you know, knowing the rules about landscaping with the HDC. We submitted renderings just to show we pulled the landscaping out, just so you could see, it makes it look like kind of crazy bare compared to what it is in actuality. But to show these retaining walls, again, existing, but then here's the proposed retaining wall right here.
So existing retaining wall at the upper level, the prominent feature all the way across.
This is the pool, right, correct?
Yes. And then the wall between this lower wall and that, the intermediate wall is the proposed wall. So it's sandwiched.
And you're gonna see a better view of it here.
Looks like an Andrew Wyeth painting.
Listen, if I knew who Andrew Wyeth was, I would tell you.
Yes,
I did, but
Stands lying down in the middle there.
And so here they have this is the wall right here, the
Yes.
proposed wall here, and that's it. Again, when you're on this dock that they have looking up, a lot of these things you're not even gonna really see. But happy to answer any questions. You know, we think that these proposed improvements, again, they're continuations of what's there, and they really fit into the fabric of what's there. We don't think it disturbs, you know, anything with the character of the historic neighborhood. It's just kind of enhancing a site. The plantings alone, I know it's not really, you know, purview of HCC, but there's just expansive plantings that are going on, which are beneficial to the birds. Even though this is the area of the bald eagle, so I don't know how much the birds want to be around those bald eagles, but yeah, we think a significant improvement to this rear yard. Happy to answer any questions.
And do you have any questions?
No questions for me.
Art,
Done.
Laura?
Yeah, I appreciate you confirming the matching, and there was a lot of detail. I couldn't find the lights, so I appreciate that. No questions.
Okay, thank you.
Jim A?
No questions, thanks.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Greg?
No questions.
I do not have any questions. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions? Hearing none, we did not receive any letters in favor or opposing this application. Thank you.
So Chairperson Negron, before we move forward, I'd like to make a motion that we could decision all the items we've already discussed before we get to Station Street, because there's so much to talk about. That way, people in the audience who presented these can meet if they want to.
I'm gonna say no,
No,
only
okay.
because half of the people that presented are gone. And the other fact is that we'll go through the series as it is, because if we jump onto the decision making, then we have to jump back into a public hearing.
Okay.
So instead of
I was
jumping
trying to-
back and forth, we'll keep it the same way. Thank you. The next item in the agenda is SF Station Street LLC, 65 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 65 Station Street for the construction of a new two-story office building in the southwest corner of the site containing 6,842 square feet in area. B, installation of exterior lighting on the proposed office building. C, installation of an extension of the parking area. D, installation of an extension of sidewalk. E, construction of a retaining wall in the southeast corner of the site. F, installation of a guide rail on top of the proposed retaining wall. And G, installation of a dumpster enclosure. Is there anyone here representing this application?
Chair, members of the commission, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzi LLC, offices at 10 Sasko Hill Road. Here on behalf of the applicant, seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the, as the call out stated, the improvements stated in the call. One note up front that this project has already been through approvals needed to come to HGC. The P&Z approved a special permit, a zone change and a special permit applications in November of 2025. And I'm sure as this commission remembers, we've previously been before this commission for an application for a certificate of appropriateness, and then a follow-up pre-application to discuss the revisions. And the design has been revised specifically in response to the comments the HGC raised at the time. Just a quick recap before I turn it over to David Ball, who's here with me, who designed these plans. It's a site that's located in the Neighborhood Design Business District. It contains 2 existing office buildings, both of which are proposed to remain. The first building is the 2-story structure that's located in the northeast corner of the site at the intersection of its 2 road frontages. And the second building is the 1-story structure located along the north property line, directly adjacent to the proposed new building. The entrance and parking to the parking area is on this end of the site, where off of Station Street. The site abuts the Southport Congregational Church property to its southwest and residential properties to its southeast. The property right here is in the design residence district. And obviously the train tracks are to the north. With that, I'll turn it over, Dave, you want me to go through those? And I'll turn them over to you to go through what our changes were.
Great. So David Ball, I'm the principal of the Monroe Partnership, which is an architecture firm. We designed the building, which is here, as really an extension of the architecture of the campus. So the architecture very similar, both in aesthetic and in scale, to the existing buildings. We located the building at the northwest corner, which is closest to the rail station, further as possible from the neighbors. And what that also allowed is that the southwest corner there, that created an opportunity for some green space acting as a buffer and just a general positive sense to the site. The building itself, and that's one view of the building. That's good. That's fine. It's the exterior walls are painted cedar siding. We have what we're showing is vertical siding. And then the windows are, and doors are wood windows, doors with painted wood trim. And one thing we have developed with input at the pre-app process is that this building here is the effectively historical building on the site. And we introduced arch, or I'll call it arch windows, but it's sort of a mini gable at the top of the windows, and did some other things to make it aligned with that architecture. And then around the perimeter of the building is asphalt shingles, and that which by the way is, the height is in compliance with the zoning regulations. In the middle is a flat roof, which would, for mechanical units, you would not be able to see them. I'll start with the views from the street. So this is from the, call it the north, a little bit to the northeast of what you would see more or less from the railroad station. And you're seeing our building here, again, very much aligned with the architecture of the existing buildings. And, you know, the colors and everything will, of the walls and the trim will match. This is a view from the west on Station Street. And you could see the building in the distance.
One thing I just want to know on this too, while we're here, you can see that the existing building, which is right here, and the dumpster enclosure that we're proposing, actually do a pretty good job of screening that parking area. That's to the rear of it. And then on the other side, it gets screened by the new.
One question has come up during the overall development of this design is what would, you know, is it possible to see our building from Pequot Avenue, looking at it from the church? Certainly the church is, you know, that's the Southport Congregational Church is a relatively tall building as compared to ours. So if you're at the, you know, at the front of the church itself, you certainly won't see our building at all. We took some pictures in the winter time. There's quite a bit of fully grown trees between you and the building. If, you know, if you're in a car, you're not going to see it. You're driving. If you're walking and really look for it, you'll probably see it. But what we also do have, talk a little bit, or I'm sorry, but, you know, at that corner, the southwest corner of the site, we've got quite a bit of planting there with every intent of screening the building from the neighbors and also from the street. So the impact of this development, this new building compared to what you'd be seeing on Pequot Avenue would be minimal. The floor plans. It's a fairly simple layout. So this is the south parking areas down here. Train station is up here. Relatively small lobby with a restroom, a stair, and an elevator. And then as you're laying out an office building, what's really important is that you think about how it will be used. So these are not necessarily where the offices would be, but we're basically lining the building with offices, and then we introduce quite a bit of glass at each end. And the basic idea is that in the middle, you'd have open cubicles, that sort of thing, trading desks, who knows? So that's the first floor plan. Second floor plan is effectively the same. And then the roof plan, I talked a little bit about how it's surrounded by asphalt shingles to align itself with the architecture of the other buildings on the site. But then this is an area where you could put mechanical units and they would not be seen from effectively anywhere. And then this, so this is the front elevation, again, with the arched windows. We introduced vents at the front. We adjusted the trim a little bit to comply or to align with the architecture of the historic building at the corner. Yeah, that's the view of the front of the building. And, you know, also it does show, you know, gutters and downspouts on the drawings. And then this is at the sides of the building is where the larger windows I talked about. And when you look at it from that side, you know, it sort of helps break up the scale of the building in a nice way. So when you see it from a front elevation, it may not look
it looks a little bit like a lot of window, but it actually fits in fairly well. And then, this is the opposite side of the building, the rear of the building facing the railroad track, fairly simple facade. We do have a picture of light fixtures, which are basically at the entries of the building. Those are required by building code so that at egress, you can have a safe way out. And well, I've got the elevations. This is the screen for the garbage refuge area, which is designed to be aligned with the architecture of the overall site. That's pretty much it. Some questions have come up. For example, the stockade fence, which there's a debate whether that's site or architecture, but I'm going to handle that. And that is, all the stockade fences they're existing and they are on the neighbor's properties. So we are not proposing any new stockade fences. So yeah, that's pretty much anything I've got to say. So if there's any questions or.
Yeah, we also, just so you know, we also have our land tech here, because there's the other part of it's retaining wall. But maybe if there was questions for Gabe first, and then we can.
Let's do it.
Do it all?
All?
Sure.
Hello, I'm Brian Carey with Land Tech. So it's a civil design, and as Attorney Russo said, this has all been approved under special permit. There is a retaining wall on the side, it's on the west side facing the church. That will be built. There's only a small reveal, about 6 inches above that last is the curb. And then this will be veneered with a brick or stone veneer, which will look similar to the existing brick wall that's already there, so it'll match in similar pattern for the neighbor's property. You won't be able to see this from the street, just from the church property. And then for the guardrail up on top, it's just a wooden timber guardrail.
Which we submitted a photo for that.
Yes, there's a photo in the record of that. And then there was just some other quick questions. We're not adding any new curbing. I think there was some confusion here. At the site plan, there is existing curbing within the right of way. So we're not touching any of this slope here. Building will fit into the existing open space there. This doesn't require sidewalks from zoning. There is an existing sidewalk across the street. That's really it. Let me see if there was a couple other. We talked about the dumpster. And again, we tried to grade this out, but because of the slope, it would have been too far back. We wouldn't have been compliant with parking. But again, from the sight lines from the road and then from the church, you won't be able to see this one part right here. That's where the stone facade will go. So there'll be no impact from sight lines from the road. I think that's really it. We talked to gutters, stockade fence, that's not on their property. This wall here, this brick wall here is what we tried to mimic over here, so it's keep within the same design as that adjacent property. That's really it. Much impact from the site plan from civil design perspective on the historic district cleanup.
Thanks, Brian. Chair, just to go quickly through the standards. So the application satisfies the standards of the HDC handbook and the Connecticut General Statutes. It's compatible with the character of the historic district. The building design draws directly from the character of the adjacent office buildings on site and the broader Southport neighborhood. Same red tones, the gables, the detailing. The gables and the windows were revised to address that concern from the first application. The submitted renderings show the building's relationship to existing site buildings, the church, and the surrounding neighborhood. It's compatible in scale, massing, and character. I'll note the building directly adjacent to this property on Station Street, the one I said that's in the DRD, is 2 3/4 stories. And the town has it listed as being 6,440 square feet. So comparable in square footage to what we're proposing. The proposed materials, the cedar siding, the wood trim and windows, asphalt shingle, the brick retaining wall. There are traditional materials appropriate to the district. The retaining wall, as Brian mentioned, is modeled on the existing wall at 62 Station Street. The dumpster enclosure matches the buildings in color and material, minimizing its visual impact. The new building is positioned on the northern half of the site. David mentioned this. It's consistent with the existing site layout where the buildings are all along that northern property line, and it's pushed as far from the residential neighbors as possible. There's no new curb cuts. It's simply an expansion of the existing parking area to give us the parking spaces that are required under the regulations, which again, to note that we've received approval from planning and zoning, and it got all necessary approvals that we need from them. So with that, happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think for this application, we might jump into the letters that were sent so that if there is any questions, both on the presentation and the letters, we can address it when we ask the questions.
Okay, so you're gonna go through all those and then we'll come back in at the end to rebut all that. Okay.
Correct.
There we go.
And then we'll do all the questions too, like from us.
From you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then,
How many letters are there?
7?
Yeah, so Mary, there's quite a few. And would you like, if the individual is here, for them to read their own comments?
they could,
Because I know James is here. Jim. Is anybody else here who submitted a letter? What's your name?
Joel Green.
Joel Green?
actually read them all
Read them
so
all.
that, yes, so that it's consistent.
Okay.
So, and for this application, Jim needed to recuse himself, so.
Okay. Buckle up. First one is from Green and Gross PC Law Offices. And that all of these regarding 65 Station Street Southport. This was addressed to the commission and to the chair. I represent Jennifer Murphy, Devin Murphy, Evelyn P. Wynn, Eileen Bohan, Jim Bohan, Ann W. Shaw, trustee in Southport Congregational Church, the owners of properties located within the Southport Historic District, but also abut and are located within 100 feet of the property at 65 Station Street. That is the subject of the above referenced application that is scheduled for a public hearing before the commission, May 21, 2026 at 4 p.m. This was submitted May 20th. My clients respectfully urge the commission to deny the application. The application was not approved by the Fairfield Town Plan and Zoning Commission, the TPZ, in the form submitted to this commission and cannot lawfully be constructed as proposed, even with commission approval. Second, the application fails to meet standards set forth in the Historic District Commission Design Guidelines, the HDC Design Guidelines, for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness. Number one, the commission should not approve a purely hypothetical application that may not lawfully be constructed as submitted. The application submitted to this commission involves the same plans that were the subject of applications to the TPZC for the approval of an amendment to the Fairfield zoning map, a special permit for site plan review. The TPZC approved the applications on November 13, 2025, subject to conditions. I have previously submitted the decision by the TPZC to this commission, and I've attached it to this letter as Exhibit A. As you can see, the conditions require the modification of multiple elements of the site plan that was submitted to the TPZC. Those required modifications include the physical alteration of proposed retaining walls and fencing, parking areas, sidewalks and curbing, landscaping features, utilities, and stormwater management practices. Projects in the local historic district must follow other relevant regulations of the town of Fairfield. HDC guidelines, Appendix E1. The plan submitted to this commission failed to comply with the conditions of approval imposed by the TPZC. In other words, the project as presented to this commission is not zoning compliant and may not lawfully be constructed as proposed, and any future revisions would require further review by this commission. Accordingly, it would be an exercise of futility for this commission to review and approve the application in its current form, as the TPZC has already rejected this iteration and approved the application only upon the condition of extensive alterations. Moreover, a certificate of appropriateness is an approval that is issued by the commission for proposed work and not for an application that does not generally involve proposed work and cannot lawfully be built. See HTC guidelines, page 19. Accordingly, the subject matter of the application is not within the scope of this commission's jurisdiction, and this commission lacks the power and discretion to approve it. Number 2, the application fails to provide sufficient information to meet application submittal standards for certificate of appropriateness pursuant to HDC guidelines. As just discussed, the application is not for actually proposed work for which a certificate of appropriateness may be issued. The application also fails to provide sufficient information to the legal commission to determine whether the site plan alterations required by the TPZC will meet standards for approval of a certificate of appropriateness. For example, the TPZC's requirement of tree preservation will require physical alterations to the proposed retaining walls, grading, and paving. The plans do not show the required reduced parking and curbing. The plans do not show the proposed sidewalk on the Station Street frontage and do not demonstrate required ADA compliance. The plans do not show an elevation of proposed materials of the proposed retaining wall. One is shown in the site plan on sheet C 1.0, but not listed on the application. Belgian block curbing is shown in the colored site plan, but not listed on the application. Typically, and according to the guideline book, Belgian block is not an acceptable curbing material in Fairfield historic districts. Typically, a new building of this type would have gutters and leaders, none are shown or indicated. A stockade fence is shown in the site plan, but not listed on the application. Typically, and according to the guidebook, stockade fences are not acceptable in the Fairfield historic districts. There is a proposed dumpster shown, but no architectural drawings. The proposed wall is extremely close to the driveway of the Southport Congregational Church and, if built, will make snow plowing of that section of the driveway extremely difficult. For the foregoing reasons, and for other reasons that we shall present to the commission at public hearing, my clients and I respectfully request that the commission deny the application. Thank you for your time and consideration. Very truly yours, Joel Z. Green.
Do you want me to read some of them? Because that's not what I was reading.
Why don't you take James?
Sure.
Or I can present that. It's possible. Is that doable, Jose? If I present that? Thanks.
Okay.
I speak as a Fairfield citizen and neighbor, budding neighbor. The proposal bill, not as my alternative HTC commission. I recuse myself from the case and will not be voted or discussed. We, the people, petitioned twice, in 2007 and 2014, that town planning and zoning declares Station Street and Chester Place Town of Fairfield scenic roads in accordance with the state statute. Statute says mature trees are a feature of officially recognized scenic roads. TPC agreed, we got certificates. Statute says mature trees are a feature of officially recognized scenic roads. TPC agreed, we got certificates, we framed them, had them. Town put up nice metal pylon markers at Station Street and Pequot Avenue, and again at Main Street and Chester Place. They're there now, you can look at Town of Fairfield scenic. TPC designation clearly phrase the people's, town planning and zoning, and the town's mandate to make permanent the beauty of the scenic, glorious gateway to Southport Village route. From the train station to Main Street to our heart. For anyone arriving from the city by train, this is the first bit of Southport visible. The proposal zone change and bigger parking lot would do serious damage. Listen to the people. At the January Historic District Commission hearing,
There were 5 letters against, none for. The TPC hearing, 68 signatures against, none for. Clearly, people overwhelmingly see zoning change and bigger parking lot inappropriate for Station Street. The word preservation appears 7 times in the first 300 words of your new committee handbook. Preservation is Historic District Commission's core mission. It's your defining mission. It's your raison d'etre. Preserving the scenic on Station Street Scenic Road means preserving the foliage, the canopy, the mature trees of the state statute. TPC's November 2025 conditions confirmed its TPC mandate. Number 1, a survey of trees. Number 2, tree preservation with 3-to-1 caliper inch replacement. You hear that? TPC rightly required canopy preservation. The proposal does not yet show this. Nothing. Historic district commissioners need this material as a basis for appropriateness. Please reject the present proposal until Summit Development shows us how they will preserve the beauty of mature trees on our leafy scenic road. For heaven's sake, Southport, one of the most beautiful places on God's earth, deserves this. On Station Street, Jody Mitchell's lines come to mind. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They pay paradise and put up a parking lot. Commissioners, don't let that happen here. The sense of place is strong on Station Street. Please preserve it. Don't approve this proposal. Many thanks for your attention and grateful.
You want one? Sorry. It's a lot to read. Dear Commissioners, I'm writing regarding the application for 65 Station Street as a member of the Southport Congregational Church. From the church's point of view, I believe the concerns all relate to the tree removal and grading that is being proposed to create the new parking areas and to provide for the drainage design for a level spreader on the southwest corner of the property. The proposed work will involve grading, tree clearing, and construction of masonry retaining walls in those respective areas. The HDC handbook states specific requirements for masonry walls. Right now, I don't believe the plans provide enough detail for the commissioners to judge the appropriateness of what's proposed. There is a schematic drawing of the proposed brick wall and a photo of a brick wall as an example. That could be easily addressed by some additional drawings showing a full elevation of a physical sample of the brick, except for the fact that the conditions attached to the applicant's zoning approval may result in changes to the walls, grading, and drainage currently designed. Further, the commission may want to see options other than brick. Most of the retaining and property line walls in the district are fieldstone. While one of the neighbors does have a brick wall, it is more of a privacy wall. There are similar brick walls surrounding the Pequot Mews. In my opinion, a stone wall similar to the one along Pequot Avenue church parking lot would be more appropriate and would be compatible with the church, which is all stone. I cannot think of many brick retaining walls in Southport of the scale or appearance being proposed. Also, the conditions may require reductions in paved area, associated changes to the drainage system, and revisions to the landscaping. Maybe some of the parking can be moved further east by allowing a more gentle grading against the church parking lot. This could be done, the wall might get lower, and perhaps the guardrail could be moved back or eliminated. In the past, the commission has required full, complete plans that are zoning compliant. Why allow this application to move forward when it is almost certain that the plans will change to satisfy the conditions zoning approval? The proposed work on the west side of the property is most of what members of the church will see, not to mention visitors as well as those standing on the Metro North platform. The church and abutting neighbors deserve to see complete plans and elevations of the walls as they will actually be built after satisfying the conditions. The applicant should be held to the same standards that the church and abutting neighbors were required to meet when they made applications to HDC for past projects. In my opinion, the application should be denied without prejudice until the specifics of the zoning approval have been sorted out and fully documented. Respectfully submitted, Jack Franzen.
This next one's from Drummond Bell, submitted 5/17. to the commissioners. We live roughly 200 yards from this property. I used to commute to New York City and park next to this site. To me, any development is not conducive to the historic character. As you probably are aware, the TPC decision is now under appeal. My wife and I have lived in Southport since 2000, and prior to that, my family moved here in 1958. I grew up belonging to Sale here in Southport. It has always been a very small and scenic village with lots of history. This is why we chose to live here. The town of Fairfield designated Station Street as a scenic road. More development will change and alter this road. This new application does not serve us nor the town to preserve the mission of historic preservation. It will alter the character of the former Ruger site and further erode Southport's historic reputation. The expansion of the landscape and properties visual association with the neighboring properties and more traffic doesn't coincide with historic character that now exists. I and others strongly oppose this application at H. We must preserve our history. Thank you. Sincerely, Drummond Bell. Yep, I can see it all.
Thank you.
And where's the other one?
I put it right here.
Oh, see it all.
Thank you.
Let me just take another one.
This one's from Jennifer Murphy, submitted 5/18. Again, to the commissioners. We have been residential property owners and citizens of the town of Fairfield for 34 years. We appreciate the time and care that the commission spends on the applications that you review as stewards of the town historic districts. We sincerely thank you for your service to the community and to the mission of historic preservation. Our family owns a residence located at 500 Pequot Court in Southport Village. We are abutting neighbors to the commercial property located at 65 Station Street, Southport, AKA the former Ruger property. Constructed in 1894, 500 Pequot Court maintains the architectural character of the late 19th century New England coast and is one of a cluster of 4 quaint, similarly scaled and constructed homes built for local merchants and school teachers. Diminutive in scale in comparison to many of the grander Southport properties built by shipping magnates, Pequot Court is a beloved original enclave within the Southport Historic District. Along with 68 neighbors residing within a 500-foot radius of the 65 Station Street, we oppose the developer's plan to expand this property into the residential A zone, for which the developer sought and was granted with conditions, a zone change and special permit from the Fairfield Town Planning and Zoning Commission, the TPZ, on November 13, 2025. I have attached the TPZ conditions of approval to this email for your review. We believe that the application that the developer has submitted for your review is not eligible to be reviewed at this time by the Historic District Commission because Summit Development has not incorporated the Fairfield Town Planning and Zoning Commission's conditions of approval published on 12/17/25 into their design program as submitted in their 5/21/26 application for a certificate of appropriateness. Incorporating the TPZ conditions of approval into the applicant's design program would have a meaningful impact on the aesthetics of their plan. Therefore, incorporating the TPZ conditions of approval should be a condition of eligibility before the application can qualify for review by the HDC. The omission of the TPZ mandated design revisions, which are also required to be met for permitting, means that the 65 Station Street application does not meet the usual HDC standards for review. Standards that other residents are required to meet and wouldn't dream of ignoring. It is highly concerning that a developer and their legal counsel would use an esteemed town agency like the Fairfield Historic District Commission to circumvent the decision of another town agency, the Fairfield Town Planning and Zoning Commission. By submitting an application for approval, and they know does not incorporate the conditions of approval under which their permission for a zone change and special permit was granted. Summit Development has not amended their application to incorporate those conditions into the design, and they continue to submit incomplete applications to the HDC, wasting others' times and resources in service of their agenda. An HDC endorsement of this incomplete application could serve to undermine the TPC ruling from 11/13/25 and should not be tolerated as a tactic to circumvent official decisions and or serve as future bargaining chip with the town agencies. In this letter of opposition, we have chosen to focus on the deliberate omissions in Summit Development's May 21, 2026 application with regard to the TPZ conditions of approval. an omission that should disqualify the applicant's eligibility for review and a certificate of appropriateness by the HDC. We hope that the commission will give appropriate weight to the applicant's pattern of omission and insist that the applicant incorporates the TPZ conditions of approval into their design before submitting a future application for 65 Station Street. Sincerely, Jennifer and Devin Murphy.
All right, this is from Judith Proctor, dated Saturday, May 16th, 2026. Dear Historic District Commission, we are writing to oppose Summit Development's application for 65 Station Street. It is our opinion that Summit is using the HDC application process to negate the TPZ amendments that the TPZ required to approve the zone change and special permit in November. The TPZ decision is now under appeal in court. It mandates that Summit reduce parking and map the existing trees. With an HDC approval, Summit will be able to return to TPZ and negotiate. In addition, we oppose the project as the new building is inappropriate, doubles the building lot coverage, changes the neighborhood character, and is not in keeping with the Station Street's scenic road designation. Thank you for considering and acting upon our concerns. Sincerely, Judy and Chet Proctor, 428 Pequot Ave, Southport, Connecticut.
This next one was submitted on May 20th, the HDC. I live at 28 Station Street across from the 65 Street Station. I commute by train between New York and Southport. I'm writing to add my concerns about proposed changes to our block. Number one, my arrival at the Southport Station signals the quiet, gentle spirit of our village, the scale of the center of town, the authentic New England aesthetic, all in the shade of mature trees, decades in the making. In short, the reason we all love living here. The proposed project would alter the character of the street and the neighborhood. Number two, walking from the station to my house often requires walking in the street for part of the way. The street is narrow, and we've all adapted. We've adapted to the service trucks, the delivery trucks, the oversized food deliveries to the restaurant Pachi. The thought of adding more traffic to the street is alarming, especially considering the small children who live in our small block, not to mention the added asphalt to an enlarged parking area. Number three, I was dismayed to hear at the final zoning commission meeting, one of the committee members rushed through the hearing and conclude there is no objection from the community. That was untrue. It did not note widespread objections of the community. There was a petition in the fall of 2025 with 68 signatures from neighbors. Why was that petition disregarded? Most of us on Station Street were not able to voice our concerns at the zoning meeting, and I hope HDC will not ignore legitimate objections. We respectfully submitted Elizabeth Scarlatt. As a PS, as I frequently walk to and from the train, I must mention how often it is flooded under the railroad trestle. Hard to imagine it won't be an even more serious problem in a larger structure, a paved over parking area, and the loss of mature trees.
This is from Shelley Bell, dated Sunday, May 17th. 2026, I'm writing to voice my strong opposition to the proposed expansion of 65 Station Street. I've walked the village for many decades and am familiar with this site. Any change to this property would diminish the historic character of the surrounding village. You must consider the village as a whole, the streetscape, and the beautiful churches and trees which surround this property. This is exactly the mandate of the Southport Historic District, an excellent opportunity to draw a line in the sand. Enough of developers who keep coming back again and again with alternate plans attempting to appease neighbors and churches. They are certainly not interested in the preservation of our beautiful village. This development does not serve the interest of the history or the future of Southport. Please make a stand on this important application and deny this unfortunate application. Thank you for all you do for our historic areas of Fairfield. Your work is so very important and does not go unnoticed. Sincerely, Shelley Bell, 26 Old Meadow Road, Southport, Connecticut.
You can read the last one. This one was submitted on 5/19 by Evelyn Wynn. It's to the commissioners. I live at 504 Pequot Court and am writing to oppose Summit Development's application for 65 Station Street. I specifically want to call attention to the 8-foot disparity in elevation between Summit's proposed building site and our abutting residences on Pequot Court, cited as 18 feet versus 10 feet above sea level on the drawings. In our closed-knit historic district neighborhood, this grade disparity presents optical and dynamic challenges that have not been addressed and clearly communicated by Summit. The steep slope between our property lines is largely hidden from view by a dense forest of legacy trees, hundreds of years old, hundreds of feet high. Sanctuary to wildlife, this historic woodland muffles the sound and blocks light from the former Ruger site opposites. Provides a permeable surface to absorb rainfall, delivers cooling shade, and offers a lush rural greenscape that's visible to the community up and down Pequot Avenue. Our Summit plans to address this grade disparity, and this legacy forest is of a paramount importance to the historic character of this property, as viewed by adjacent neighbors in Southport Village at large. I submit for your consideration 2 photos. So, over there.
I'm gonna put them up.
Okay, great. Number 1. Number 1 is the unedited view of my backyard with 7-foot stockade fence backed by dense natural forest. 1 is a number 2. This is an AI version of the same views with trees removed, ground elevated to 18 feet above sea level for extended parking and a 2-story building on lot. Note, parking lot service will be higher than the top of my HTC conforming fence. While these are rudimentary renderings, I believe Summit should be accountable to provide the HTC and TPZ more sophisticated and accurate visual of their plans to alter this topography and landscaping with hardscape, retaining structures, commercial lighting, and hydraulic systems to mitigate runoff, while preserving the heritage, trees, and the quiet, private, residential sanctity of our historic neighborhood. Thank you, Lynn Plant, AKA Evelyn Plant Wood.
Excuse me, I'm here and I
Oh.
have copies of the images.
Oh, thanks.
Anybody want
Um, We can submit the copies here. Give the copy of the
Okay.
pictures.
Sorry, I just.
No.
came
Do you need
late.
copies of the pictures? Or do you?
No, I think I have.
You have them?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same one.
We'll just put everything on the paper.
Yeah,
Just one of each.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the applicant also has.
Okay, thank you.
May 21st, 2026, addressed to Chairman Fairfield HDC, Rosina Negron, Free SF Station Street LLC, application at 65 Station Street. Dear Chairman Negron and HDC Commissioners, we are writing to express opposition to the updated plans proposed for 65 Station Street by Summit Development. My husband and I live with our 2-year-old son at 46 Station Street, which is diagonally across the street from the 65 Station Street property. I am also pregnant with twins, so we'll soon have 3 young children playing in the vicinity of this construction project. We are very concerned about this proposal for the following reasons. 1, doubling the building's lot coverage is visually disruptive and brings increased safety concerns. If approved, the removal of mature trees for further square footage and more parking spots at the heart and entry point to historic Southport Village on a designated quote scenic road unquote will physically alter the streetscape and its visual appeal. It is not in keeping with the mission of historic preservation. Also, more cars entering and exiting means more traffic and safety hazards for pedestrians and vehicles alike on a street that is busy enough already at peak commuting times. 2, expansion of the parking paved area will appear connected to the train station lot. The larger paved parking area proposed adjacent to the existing train station parking will make the whole area look like one big parking lot. It will be ugly and destroy the scenic entry point to our village that exists today. In conclusion, we understand the development will likely go forward, but would expect it to be tasteful in scale and scope, consistent with the historic district that exists today. Thank you for your consideration, and we kindly ask you to deny this expanded proposal. Sincerely, Christine and Jared Ford, 46 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut.
This is the attachments and first.
Okay. Now we can move on to the questions unless you guys wanna.
Speaking.
So, Chair.
Are we doing in-person comments as well from?
Yes,
from-
yeah, so
From
let's,
from the, or from you or from the?
let's do,
We want to give them a moment to respond?
that you can, yeah.
These were the ones that were in writing. Did anybody comment?
Correct.
If
Oh,
not,
yes. All right, so
So
let's.
we just read the letters that were submitted. We can now, either you guys can respond to that one, or you can wait until comments from the commission and from the public.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, if there's gonna be more comments from the public, we should wait till after that, and then we can
Correct.
respond to them.
Makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So commissioners, Karen, do you have any questions or comments?
So you mentioned during the application that there are going to be gutters and downspouts. What are the specs for that?
They would be half round gutters and
Aluminum, copper?
right as drawn, it would be painted aluminum to match the trim of the building.
Okay, and what's the material used for the sidewalk? Is that going to be concrete?
Oh, yeah, as drawn, yes. This,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Which, by the way, for ADA, one of the comments I've heard,
Is 80.
yeah, and that's, you know, when you get into more natural materials, it's more of a challenge.
Yeah, understood. I think that's it for my questions.
Art, do you have any questions or comments?
One of the letters mentioned Belgian blocks. I'm not sure I heard anything in your presentation about Belgian blocks.
And it's not listed as one of our requested. We have the list of, you know, improvements we're requesting on the application. It's not on there.
Okay.
Is there Belgian block currently there?
There's no okay,
There's, my understanding is, it's a site question, but there's no curb at the edge of the parking area, with the exception of the top of the retaining wall.
That's good.
Maura, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I am, before I walked in here today, just confused at some of where things are, right? Like you had a picture of where the dumpster is, but haven't seen it kind of head on. Not as concerned about that right
You want
now.
me to show you site plan?
It's all right.
Okay.
The second thing is that the retaining wall is gonna be done with a veneer. And generally, we discourage veneers, so I just want to ask, is there a reason why you're not using natural stone?
No, so what's, if you don't. The material shown on this detail, this is the retaining wall.
It's really hard from that
Oh,
to get a sense
understand.
of,
So this, when you hear the word veneer, you think thin, but like a new brick building would have full bricks and architects call it veneer.
I
So
think-
this is roughly 4 inches deep. And in the regulations, it does talk about retaining walls can be concrete structure, which is what this is.
right,
That holds up, otherwise the dirt's gonna fall over. But the veneer is effectively a stone that's in the neighborhood of 4 inches thick.
right. And I know, I hear you,
Yep.
that it can be, it's just would be nice to see a picture of it. And see how it's going to, like, the comment was, you're only gonna see a small portion of it. And I just haven't seen, and I know it's over by the Congregational Church, but I haven't really seen a plan of seeing what would be seen from one side versus the other side and what it's actually gonna look like.
I think it's on record, Commissioner, so I'll pull it up.
I saw the picture of the example of the neighbor's wall, but I didn't see a picture of your exact material that you're gonna use. And maybe I missed it.
Well, we'll take a look.
Yeah, the other question I had is all the questions about the trees. There was a whole kind of the survey that was done of the trees and the issues with ivy. And then there was the issue of the question by the town of the other trees and the ones that are being retained. But I was unclear, and again, we don't tell you exactly with plantings, but there isn't the issue of screening, so I just didn't know what is, and the letters are bringing up the issue, so I'm not saying one way or another, I just don't understand what trees are eliminated and which ones are staying.
The trees are actually marked in the field. I'm Brian Carey, I'm a licensed arborist as well, as helping put together the site development plan. But I looked at the trees for 2 reasons. One of them, just for safety. If you go out there, I mean, they're most of them are.
Yeah, and I apologize, I wasn't actually supposed to be at last week's
Yeah,
meeting.
but if you go through my report, the trees are actually marked in the field with ribbon.
You mentioned that.
And then we do have a planting plan that basically satisfies the requirements of the TPC.
Right, but then the town was asking for a redo in that, because the year was done on March 25th.
Yeah, so
And then
we,
they were asking for a redo, so then I was unsure of
Yeah, I'm not sure about the reading.
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about the conditions in the zoning approval?
Yeah, it says updated tree survey. Submit an updated existing condition plan. Oh, wait, that's from 12/17. So is that,
Yeah, I mean,
but I haven't seen like a plan with, here's the trees. We're taking out these, we're keeping these, and we're planting these.
there was a landscape plan put into.
Was there, have we seen that?
No.
Jim?
Yeah.
This is a gray area for products, because we don't rule on the trees, but if if removal changes the site plan, that does become a purview.
And I looked it up as far as that, we kind of need to know what it is.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Joe, I was just asking a question.
Yeah.
I mean, our site plan hasn't changed from the approval and all their conditions that they're asking for. I just looked at the approval, are generally things we clean up before we go into them. I didn't see anything.
And I can add some color, I think, to this, because there's a lot of questions about the, Attorney Green brings it up, and then his clients in their letters bring up the TPZ. And you're trying to bring it into this kind of sea of uncertainty about what is actually approved, and referring to a hearing and an approval that was from a different commission. And one thing I think that Attorney Green misses mentioning, which is an important part of your application process. And frankly, personally, I've questioned the need for this requirement that you have in your application before, but I have to eat a good deal of crow on this, because with this application, it's readily apparent why. You require, before someone submits to you, that you get a stamp from the zoning department that says approved for zoning compliance. So you don't have to answer that, or you don't have to wonder about that question of, is this zoning? So it's in the record, our site plan set, our architectural plan set has a stamp from Matt Decker, which, by the way, the first time we did it, we also had that stamp. And it says approved for zoning compliance. So, you don't have to take my word for it. I'm paid by the applicant. You don't have to take Attorney Green's word for it. He's paid by the opposition. You have a third party, which is your zoning department, stamping it and saying it's approved for zoning compliance. So where he says it's not zoning compliant, that is not accurate.
I'm not going on that. I'm going that zoning will approve a lot of things that we have to then look at it through our lens. So
that was going to lead me to these conditions that you're seeing in the P and Z approval. I can add some detail about what happened there. So when we presented the application at Planning and Zoning, one of the commissioners asked us and said, do you actually need this much parking? In reality, do you need this much parking? And we said, probably we don't need, we could probably lose a space or 2 or 3. We might be able to, based on the use. But we had to propose that much parking because it was compliant with the regulations. There's no way we could have submitted an application being under the required parking amount. They would reject the application outright. So one of the commissioners, Commissioner Randolph, said to me, we are looking at changing that regulation to reduce your parking requirement. But it's not on the books now. And they're talking about it, and it's a hypothetical regulation. So what he said is, I think he said the word "stay tuned" to me, but in the sense of, if we pass this regulation, you could come back, ask for less parking, and remove some spaces. But he knew, and the commission knew, there's no way you could reduce the number of spaces without the regulation being in effect. So that's why that language is in there. And if you look at the condition, particularly the condition about the tree preservation, what it says is, the applicant may use any reasonable solution compliant with the applicable standards. And then if the standards change and they reduce the parking requirement, we could have saved trees. But then right after that, they made sure to include, if that doesn't happen, here's where your other option is, which is to, if loss or fatal compromise occurs, replace a 3-to-1 caliper inch, which is the regulation they had on the books at the time. So if they pass that regulation, hypothetically, in the future, we could go back, reduce the impact and maybe save more of the mature trees. But right now, even still, you know, again, this was passed, I think it was November, we got P and Z, they have not approved that parking plan. So we can't do that. We would be non-compliant. And so that's, I mean, I think, again, going back to it, that's why it is important. And now I've seen the light, why it's important that when you require that on your submissions, that you have that stamp on there. So you know this thing is zoning compliant.
Right, and we're not commenting on parking, and they have their issues about the trees under their lens. We have a different lens. And I just don't understand what trees are saying, and what trees are going, and what trees are planting. So that's just, that is.
Does our lens include trees and?
It's
which
from
ones are
as
they?
far as screening. And it could be screening as far as utilities.
It's landscape. It's landscape.
Yeah, it's under.
Regardless of screening, if we don't govern landscape,
Right.
vegetation, that's not within our purview.
We're going to try to preserve as many trees as we can, and there's in here that we will work with the tree warden and do what we can. But yeah, I mean, until we get out.
I was more looking at it, if we just knew when we didn't.
Yeah, no, I
But if they cut down every single tree, we can't say boo about it.
I think the comment from the public though is if they cut down, if they cut down trees and let's say we get the changes on the books that they can reduce parking, some of those trees could be saved. So removing or leaving the presence of the trees affects the hardscaping of the site. I think is what, if I'm understanding you correctly, is what you're taking away from.
Understand it all.
Yeah.
And that's important, and the letters are important, but it's not part of our deliberations. How many trees are there?
But her point, that is like, we have to understand what's there, so we can just say, yep, check, check, check.
Right, but if you're gonna deny or approve something based on the number of trees or where the
I'm
trees
not, that's
are.
not what I'm doing.
No, and what I'm
I
trying to say
think
is,
he's just trying to understand which trees affect the
For
overall
for what purpose?
because it affects the hardscape of the, like, if they need to if they can reduce parking, we might end up with a lot more green space and we don't need all the hardscape parking.
but the
If I'm
hardscape,
understanding correctly.
the hardscape is proceeding as shown on your plans. If there is a regulation change in the future, it is possible we could change the hardscaping and reduce it and possibly save trees. But what's before you right now is the hardscaping that's shown on the site plan.
So I mean, this is really the green space, existing green space on the property that everyone's talking about. And there's two things. We do have a landscape plan, and this was put in the record. I mean, it's definitely for TPC.
Oh, yeah.
So our site plan, basically, I did an arborist assessment for
We
trees.
didn't get this.
I mean, I don't normally put
Yeah,
a
no,
landscape
yeah.
plan.
Well, you pulled
This might have been
up,
the-
we have the application right here. We don't have that.
I think there is notes in the site plan about landscaping now in the site plan set. This is the Lamar plan that that has the details on all that land. I believe.
Sorry, a lot of plans. But this grading, this plan has always been the intent. I mean, there's some grading here and there's, basically holding this. And then there's a little bit of grading down here. So we're trying to preserve all the trees we can. But if you go out there and look at them, a lot of them are just in decline. With codominant structures, with rock at the bottom, there's girdling roots. So, I mean, even if you were to go in here, I mean, they're in bad condition. It's just kind of, it's
Show
kind
those
of,
pictures.
yeah.
What I'm trying to do is I like to just understand. Not saying you have to do any this or that. That's all.
No, and that's, we're coming in with this plan. This is the
That
hardscaping. If they, in the future, made it compliant so we could reduce our parking spaces, we'd have the potential that we could remove some of these spaces, and then we could preserve more.
Yeah.
And that was the discussion we had.
I think at the end of the day, we have to vote on what's before us, and that's
That's
not
fine.
before us.
Right.
I understand your question,
I
and
know
I know that, yeah.
Yeah, and to add to that, the comments that were made, but it seems like one individual are all hypothetical, and the timing, we have no idea about.
And that's not what I was doing.
Yeah,
All
I
I
know,
was
I
trying
realize
to do
that,
is get the lay of the land.
I do think this is it is over parked though, too, for, if you go out there and see the current development.
Is there do they have any sort of timeline of when they're going to, no,
I don't think there's an application even in for it.
great.
And I mean, again, that was November. I believe, I
So-
shouldn't say that because I don't know exactly what applications are in that zoning
Mhm.
at the moment, but it's, if you go online, you can see what the parking is required.
All right, so we just have to take what is here. We
They,
have to-
they also required that, the tree warden approve the plan, which
Right.
that, they don't normally do that, so. And Jeff is very thorough, so anything that happens there is gonna have to be approved by him.
So let's continue with the comments.
No further.
Jim?
No, I just would say to take as much of the public's comments as you can in hand, but we can only go by what's required by our commission.
Jim Bohan, you have any other?
He's recused, he can't.
Okay. We lost Greg.
Oh.
Yes, at the moment, I don't have any questions or comments. But is there anyone from the public that has any questions or comments?
Rosina?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I heard what Chris said and what Brian said,
Can you
but
state your name for the record, please?
yeah, Jack Franzen, just not repeating anything I said before, but I think it's unfortunate that it seemed to me like if you eliminated just 2 parking spaces on the west side of that parking lot, then that western section of the retaining wall could be lower. And if it does have to be 4 foot 6 inches high, I think it would look much better in stone because it really isn't the same kind of wall that's on Bohan's property. The other thing is, I think all the trees have to come down in the southwest corner of the property because if you look at the contours, that the grading is all changing there. So whether we like it or not, if this gets approved, all the trees are going to come down. They have to plant new trees. And that's what I had to say.
Thank you.
All right, Attorney Green.
This might be, starting with a bang. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport, and it's my pleasure to appear before you this afternoon on this application on behalf of, as indicated in my letter, Jennifer and Devin Murphy, Jim and Eileen Bohan, Evelyn Wynn, Ann Shaw, and Southport Congregational Church. So my letter's been read into the record, but I would like to first, I think, call upon Mr. Franzen, if I may, because I think it would be helpful. Jack, can you reappear?
Yes.
So just so that the record is complete, your letter, as you know, has been read into the record, but just to take care of some housekeeping items. Can you just briefly state your education, training, and experience as an expert and as an architect, just so that it is in the record, just briefly? I know the commission is extremely familiar with you, but the record has to happen.
Yeah. I'm a licensed architect in Connecticut and several other states. I attended Cornell University as an undergraduate, got a 5-year degree and stayed there for a master's degree. And I minored in landscape architecture for my master's. And I've been in practice in Southport since 1981. And I was at one point on the Historic District Commission for a period of about 5 years. And I've appeared in front of them now since I would say 1979.
Okay, thank you. And can you just comment and just briefly on the lack of consistency with the plan that is presently before the commission based on that education, training, and experience, on its inconsistency with the guidelines?
Yeah, so I think that there should be more information about the retaining wall. There is an elevation drawing and there's a section drawing, but when we went for the church addition, which is all stone, you know, we had to show them the stone. I think we brought a physical sample of it to show the commissioners. Also, there is another retaining wall that's around the area of the level spreader in the southwest corner of the property, which I believe is visible from the railroad tracks. And I don't think that was ever drawn or it wasn't clear what material it was. It looks like it might be a stone wall. So I think those are the things that jumped out at me that would be visible from a public way and would have a huge impact on what people see after this is done.
Thank you. So just a few comments that I'd like to make initially. I had submitted 11 photographs, and if you want to call them up, I suspect that you've all seen them. But the significance of the photographs that I submitted, that I took, are, first of all, that the proposed structure is readily visible from the public way on 3 sides. There was a comment made earlier, sort of hedging on the notion that it might not be visible from Pequot Avenue, but I can assure you that if the landscaping is removed and there was a photograph, it is fully visible from Pequot Avenue, and those photos are in the record. So for Pequot Avenue, obviously from Station Street, obviously from the road that winds through the train parking lot, which is called, I can't recall, it is the public way there. And you can readily see everything, particularly when you don't take into account landscaping in making that assessment. So there we go. I don't want to burden the chair with having to go through all of these, but I am positive that just from my observation that you would see this from Pequot Avenue along what I will call the east side of the church along that driveway. So I don't want there to be any confusion on that. That's clear. Secondly, there can be no question that Belgian block was proposed in this application. It was stated earlier that it wasn't called C1, which is right before the commission. This is part of their application. Proposed dumpster enclosure, Belgian block curving. It's right in the plans. It's existing. Well, it says Belgian block curving. It is called out on the plan. There is a new dumpster enclosure that is apparently proposed at that location, which would still incorporate Belgian block. The notion of landscaping is, I think the commission's comments are well-founded on the issue of trees and removing trees.
They're not structures.
They are not structures. That is correct. However, it is clear from the wording of the, there's the Belgian block curving reference there. It is clear from the wording of the plan and zoning approval that, and I read the transcript, I can submit the transcript of the deliberation session, and I can do that while the public hearing is still open, and I will do that. I will submit it before this public hearing is closed, but I will state that the commission certainly contemplated saving trees. There was discussion of actually granting a conservation easement in a corner of the property, and there can be no question that the commission is requiring alteration of trees, walls, parking, paving, the installation of a handicapped accessible sidewalk which again, I think there was a sort of a side comment dropped about ADA compliance. Yes, ADA compliance does in some instances certainly supersede the jurisdiction of this and other commissions. However, depending on how that is done, it may alter existing structures on the site. So where does this all go? And there are other issues that were raised in the letters before you. So where this goes, and despite Attorney Russo's claim that it's stamped zoning compliant, maybe we are not talking about the same thing. When we say it is not zoning compliant, we say that it is clear from the plain language of the approval that it is approved with conditions. And there were things to be done by the applicant. There are actions to be taken by the applicant which will alter the site plan. And the point is, this application that is before you is not ready to be built. Interestingly, the applicant now showed up today with a landscaping plan that's not in the record, but it would alter the, it may alter those structures. It may alter the drainage. It may alter the parking. It may alter the retaining walls. But all of that, regardless of how it gets done, and Attorney Russo and I will really disagree on how it gets done, because right now there's a zoning appeal pending. And one of the claims we are going to raise is that the approval is not in compliance with zoning law because it's not final, because it delegates things that the Plan and Zoning Commission have to do, decisions that they should be making, and it delegates it to others. And we would suggest that these are decisions that the Plan and Zoning Commission has to make. But the big point is that they are expressed as conditions. What is before you cannot be built. So while Attorney Russo says, well, it's stamped zoning compliant, he cannot go to the counter tomorrow and say, HDC approved this, we're ready to go. So that is counter to the law on projects that come before this commission, because it is all conditional. Just make sure I'm not leaving anything out. Bear with me for a moment. So once again, I had anticipated that it is again approved with conditions. And I mean, one of the comments that the applicant might make is that, you can approve this now, we'll detail these later, these field adjustments or something we'll do later. But the point is, a certificate of appropriateness must address actual proposed work, including those core elements involving parking, ADA, potential impacts from ADA compliance, reduced parking, curbing, relocated stormwater, revised walls and utilities. I didn't see this gutter detail in the plan, and that was sort of glancingly referenced, but I did not see gutter detail. Are those in the
It's
plan?
on the elevations, it's on the roof plan. It's on the 3D renderings.
Okay, downspouts, all of it.
Can I see this? Yeah. The elevations. You have to look.
It's on, well, yes.
All
Fine
right,
with-
well, I'll leave that to the commission. Whether the wall is necessary for engineering, once again, the issue on these retaining walls is driven by maximizing parking and site constraints. And once again, if parking spaces have to be eliminated, it could alter that configuration and therefore alter those retaining walls. So what we are asking you to find is that the application is not compliant with your guidelines because it doesn't fully follow other regulations, and that there is remaining work to be done, and it is not construction ready. And so it's not compliant with your guidelines. It's not construction ready, and it is not. We use the phrase zoning compliant, but what we mean is it's not finally approved in its final form. And I certainly want to thank you for your patience, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, Attorney Green, I have one.
you know, in the course of the presentation, there's the main building, the windows, the doors, the gable there. You know, when we approve, or when we grant certificates of appropriateness, we actually approve different items. And I see on the application, there's A, B, C, D, E through G. I want to understand your argument. Are you saying that based on these items in the zoning approval, this application for us to approve all of these different items, for example, the basic nature of the building, are you saying those aren't properly before us?
I'm saying because the plan is not complete, they are not properly before you. And certainly we've established, and your regulations are clear that, for example, retaining walls are within your jurisdiction. And
Surely, and we may approve, deny, or deny without prejudice, but we approve an individual A, B, C, and D. And I mean, you've.
But the totality of the plan, it's the plan before you.
Right, but the plan has different elements, and we approve specific elements of the plan, so.
I'll need this back, but take a look, say you have a visual in front of you. It's the A through G right there, and we can approve. We can itemize.
I mean, you referenced the plan. The plan is obviously the application, but are you saying based on the deficiencies of the planning and zoning approval, we can't opine on, for example, whether or not this is historically appropriate, what I'm looking at right here?
You can comment on that, but the plan itself. So you're suggesting that you would approve part of it and deny part of it?
That's what we
can, yes.
We don't just say, you know, it's, you know, judgment for X. We approve different items, and there's 5 items here. Installation of a dumpster, installation of guardrail on top of construction of the retaining wall, extension of sidewalks. We can deny the retaining wall because of, you know, all the reasons you're setting forth, but we can go ahead and approve the basic structure. But if I understand your argument, you're saying this application isn't properly before us. I don't think that's true.
I think it is improperly before you because your regulations require compliance with all other town regulations. And it would be our position that it is not compliant with the zoning regulations because it's still subject to revision, this site plan. And I will also note that there was a comment made that there is ample parking. And I know that the parking is very tight in terms of the number of spaces required. So it would be extremely inefficient for you to be piecemeal approving. I mean, this is just sort of a policy argument. I think it would be inefficient for you.
We're not a policy-making board, though.
You are, and that's
we
true.
We are not. We're not an advisory board.
But I, like, for example, if, to your point, if a homeowner had a series of plans in mind, and we're going to change the columns on our home, and then someday we're going to change the fence, and someday we're going to make another change, they could arguably come in 3 times to you instead of 1 time. However, I think that the distinction here is that it's our reading of your guidelines, that whatever is coming before you, the totality of that plan, before it can come before you, it has to be able to be built. And this whole plan, none of this can be built because zoning doesn't say you can build this building, but your parking has to get straightened out, your landscaping has to get straightened out. That is something you definitely cannot do as a matter of zoning.
Zoning can't do that, but we can. I can approve that structure right there without reference to the retaining.
I'm saying the structure can't come before you. It cannot come before you, and you can't begin to grant as to that building because it is not ready to be built. It is not a construction-ready design.
Okay, I just want to understand.
Mention something. I actually went to the town attorney and asked the question of should we or should we not? And the response was the HDC shall review their application and decide. It is separate from the zoning approval. He doesn't think that the HDC action on this application has any impact on the zoning appeal.
He's right, Joe.
I disagree.
And then if there are zoning conditions that were not incorporated in the plan and will require design changes, then the developer may need to come back to the HDC in the future once the zoning decision becomes final.
You're right, and I don't have,
Attorney Pierce.
is that Attorney Pierce?
Yeah.
All right, well, I would ask look, if the commission is concerned about that, then I think that it would be appropriate to get a formal opinion. I'd be happy to offer an opinion on that formally as well. But then maybe the commission wants to defer this and get a formal opinion rather than conversation where it's submitted to the town attorney for formal opinion, and Attorney Russo and I can weigh in as well. Because I want to get it right, but I'm going to submit that there is language in your guidelines that makes reference to compliance with all other town regulations.
Well, but that's what they're saying, is that it's basically saying, even if we approve it, it never can go forward until P and Z has completed all of their contingencies. And if they change it, if they change effect, then it comes back to us.
Right. That's exactly right.
Projects and local historic districts must follow other relevant regulations of the town of Fairfield, Appendix E1. That's in your guidelines.
Right, but that's your protection. Like, even if we were to do it, it's not saying that they can say, well, HDC says, okay, so now P and Z is just gonna put it through. That does not happen. They always, they have to approve it for anything to go forward, and if they change it, then it has to come back to us.
Well, I would welcome an opportunity to hear from the town attorney. I mean, I understand your argument, but I would welcome an opportunity, and I think it might be appropriate to get a formal opinion on it. And Attorney Russo and I can weigh in. But that's up to the commission. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that has questions or comments? Hearing none. Would you
Response?
like to?
Yes, please, thank you. I'll be, again, Attorney Green is trying to bring in a discussion from a different board that he knows you weren't present for, and bringing in this kind of uncertainty into it. And he's also bringing an appeal. We were approved by P and Z, and then he's bringing up an appeal that's also being handled separately by the court. What you have before you is a site plan and architectural plans that were stamped by the zoning enforcement officer that said it's approved for zoning compliance. If we get approval from you, we have to go through a whole building permit process. I mean, the fire marshal could come in and say, oh, you know, this needs changed or something. We have to go through a whole building permit process. So, you know, there's still more to come, but we could go and apply for a building permit. And once we have your approval, we have all the necessary land use approvals to move forward on that. We are only asking you for approval of the things that are listed on the application, A through, I think it's G or something like that. That's what is here before you right now. And I think this town attorney was referencing this, something changes in the future, if there's a change to the architecturals, it has to come back before you. We're asking for A to G as it's shown on the plans that we have submitted. That is all. A couple of other things. And just so, you know, I mean, I know I don't have to really repeat this for the commission, but under Connecticut's general statutes, the HDC's role is to evaluate whether proposed work is appropriate within the historic district. So the conditions placed by P and Z, which, you know, we feel like we're in line with, But they do not change the building design, the materials, or the site features that are subject to this application. There's talk about this Pequot Ave and looking for Pequot Ave. I mean, there's a picture, if you look at one of the pictures that Attorney Green submits, there's these mature trees on Southport Congregational that actually along their driveway that do obscure the view of this building. That being said, I mean, it's not like this is the elevation that faces to the interior of the site. I mean, we worked on improving this. Correct me if I'm wrong, this was where the gable, based on comments, we made some changes here. So, I mean, we paid attention to this elevation as well to make sure it's not, it's not like it's a blank wall with windows. So we've taken the comments and the concerns from the commission and through our initial application and our pre-application that we had after that to address all the comments. I'll just reiterate the stockade fence. We are not proposing a stockade fence. It's existing, and it's not our stockade fence. We included on the elevations the gutters and downspouts. We submitted the dumpster enclosure, so we have full architectural drawings for the dumpster enclosure. The Belgian block curbing, the reason why that's in light gray is because it's existing. So we're not proposing, it's not listed A through G on your thing. We're not proposing Belgian block curbing. This is existing. That's why it's faded. And
You're not adding any more to
No.
complete something.
No.
It's
Yeah,
whatever's there stays there.
Correct. And then, Commissioner, I think you were wondering where the dumpster enclosure was in relation to the site. And so it's right, just so you know, it's right here while this is up. And you can also see, the outline of the existing parking lot, which comes out to here. We think with this building and this dumpster enclosure, and then obviously the building itself, we're actually screening this parking very fairly well. But it does, just so you know, it already comes back to here. If we had submitted you a plan and we took out 2 spaces, like everybody's talking about, we wouldn't have gotten seen for zoning compliance. They would have rejected it because it wouldn't have sufficient parking. So we have to come in with the way that this plan is compliant with regulations. So with that, happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Any questions? So hearing none, we read the letters in opposition. We did not receive any letters in favor. So this hearing is now closed.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now let's start with the consideration of the public hearing. First item was Susan Carberry, 52 Main Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 52 Main Street, Southport. A, add larger garage door to existing punch-car garage. B, add 4 vintage light fixtures to garage for safety and aesthetics. Is there any more?
I'll make a motion to approve this submitted.
I'll second.
There's 4 of us, so
You don't need it?
we don't need.
Okay, second.
Perfect. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion passes. Second item is Andrew and Amanda Cooley, 406 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 406 Old Post Road for a replacement of existing front yard fence with historically appropriate wood picket styles. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second. You can all rotate on.
All right. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion passes. That's
Sorry, who seconded that one?
All right. That's item in the agenda, Elizabeth Stricker.
I've got to recuse myself. Hold on.
311 Bronson Road, Mount Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 311 Bronson Road for a install custom-made copper gutter to the main block of the house, only the facade. And in this one, because you recused yourself, I had mentioned in the meeting that Maura was the next one. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
To approve as presented.
I'll second.
Yeah. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion passes. Next item is Robert and Amelia Johnson,
Come back in.
187 Westway Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 187 Westway Road, for 8 changes to previously approved garage doors. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve this minute.
Second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor? Motion passes. Next item in the agenda, Sean Polly and Madeline Livingston, 180 Main Street number 2, for a property located at 180 Main Street number 2, for A, new roof, B, new trim, C, new siding, D, new windows, E, new doors, F, new portico with roof, G, new shed enclosure, and H, new copper gutters. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? The next item is Hidden Pond LLC, 965 Old Post Road, Fairfield, Connecticut, for a property located at 965 Old Post Road. For A, replace dilapidated white picket fence in front yard running parallel to Old Post Road with similar kind and quality. B, replace white gate on the west side of the house with gate of same size and quality and relocate it towards front of the house to block view of air compressors. C, enhance existing asphalt driveway. D, add bluestone curbing alongside of oil and stone driveway. And E, replace white picket fence on east side of the house, spanning across driveway with traditional black iron fence design. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this minute.
Yes.
Second. I'll go back.
Is there any comments or questions on this one? I do have a comment about the black iron fence. It kind of clashes with everything else that's in the neighborhood. However, it seems that maybe when the front picket fence is installed, that might kind of
Obscure the view.
blend in a little. So, ready for the voting? All in favor? Motion passes. Next one, Patricia Brandt, 1 Church Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 1 Church Street. A, replace existing original 3-car, 3 garage doors with the ones in the pictures attached. The 3-car garage is a separate building. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor? Okay, next item in the, motion passes. Next item, the agenda, Rose Hill on Harbor LLC for 331 and 385 Harbor Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 331 and 385 Harbor Road. For A, replace installation of a stepping stone walkway for access from existing structures to an existing bocce court with proposed stones to match existing stepping stone. B, minor realignment of existing bocce court. C, installation of permeable bluestone terrace along the proposed walkway. D, proposed retaining wall south of the existing in-ground pool. And E, installation of path lighting along stepping stone walkway to match existing path light. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion passes. And the next one,
I recommend on this one, we go individually on these items, or unless you think they're gonna go through all 8.
I think we should make a motion for discussion purposes.
Yeah.
And then we can
Yeah.
decide what to do with that motion and
Correct.
go on.
the next one is SF Station Street LLC, 65 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 65 Station Street. For A, the construction of a new 2-story office building in the southwest corner of the site containing 6,842 square feet in floor area. B, installation of exterior lighting on the proposed office building. C, installation of an extension of the parking area. D, installation of an extension of sidewalks. E, construction of a retaining wall in the southeast corner of the site. F, installation of a guide rail on top of the proposed retaining wall. And G, installation of a dumpster enclosure area. Is there a motion?
All right, I'm gonna take a stab at this. I make a motion to approve A and B as submitted and to deny without prejudice C through G.
Second that.
Group A and B.
A and B as submitted and then deny without prejudice the other ones.
So and you got a second. So from a discussion item, I'm with you on A and B. I had a question mark on G. I know there were a lot of questions about the dumpster, but they seem to have all the materials that you would need to approve the dumpster in the sense of, all their drawings. So my question to you is why I had A, B, and G to get approved. What's holding you up on G?
I think, I mean, I took a stab at a motion that I could see feasibly, I could feasibly see. However, I have questions about the overall site. There's, I've heard both attorneys. I hear them loud and clear. I guess for me, the concern I have is the potential for alteration and how great it is. If something happens and they can reduce the parking lot, we could save a whole lot of the character of that area. That site, I've done a lot of work on that site previously. I'm very, very familiar with its historic integrity. I'm very familiar with its historic importance. I know the story. And to the applicant's credit, in both of the applications they've brought here, they have been very attentive to the feedback that was given. I told them to go and look at historic photographs. They did. They incorporated the window surrounds. They really made an effort to be respectful, to have a compatible development with the historic buildings that are on site. So I do recognize that very loud and clear. My concern is that we don't really have purview over landscaping at all, as I think we all understand. But there's a great level here for site changes and the effect on the surrounding community. And that's, I'm going back and forth in my head on that.
I'm sort of with Jim. I mean, with me, as long as there's no new Belgian blocks, I'm okay with approving A, B, and G.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm happy to amend the motion. It's not.
No, I know.
Yeah.
This is discussion.
No, I hear you.
I think a lot of us share your, the stuff about those, C, D, E, and F.
I mean, I do take the point, maybe we should get a formal weigh-in by the town attorney.
So the only other thing I have
don't have a problem with that.
on C, D, E, and F is all this, if I'm reading it or listening correctly, was predicated on one individual in a sidebar comment saying, we're thinking of reducing the amount of parking, but nothing's approved and it's forthcoming. It could be the next meeting, it could be 6 months, it could be years down the road.
100%.
And we have to make decisions on what's in front of us today.
Yes.
And not any wish lists or anything like that. So E and F clearly to me are a no, because I want to see the materials. I would like to see, I get it, I've seen it, in the sense of the 4-inch veneer siding of it. But if it doesn't match, I'm gonna go back out to the site. If it doesn't match again with the other walls, and I'd like to see more on the guardrail on top of that. So E and F were an absolute no for me. But the installation of the extension of the parking area and the installation of extension of sidewalks, especially C, is something that may never materialize. As he said, they can't bring it to us until they do the appropriate number of parking spaces, even if that's invasive.
Correct, yeah.
Everybody's desire is to go less, even the commission's was to go less, planning and zoning, but nobody has approval to do that. So,
Yes,
so if you
100%.
if you looked at it almost from brass tacks, E and F are definitely off the table for me. I'm A, B, and G, and I could be talked into C and D because right now it's 100% compliant. May not be our wish, but it's 100% compliant. So I can go either, as
What
it
is
is.
C again? I don't have.
C is installation extension of the parking area. We're all talking about the hypothetical, but there is, in reality, they have to do what they need to do for EPNC.
As I said, I can
And they
see both
approve the
our.
parking.
And they approve the parking. So
I can't second guess.
yeah, if it was me going down through these, E and F or no for me, only because I'd like to see what the zeros are. But A, B, C, D, and G, I think we've got everything that we need. That's my personal opinion.
I think you're right.
I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
I don't mind the dumpster. So the ABG might make more sense. I think the parking area and the sidewalks, it might be something that might be better at a time when there's more of a decision by other departments. So
So this goes back to, do we need a formal opinion
yeah, I believe it might be
in the best
in
interest?
the best interest of everyone, like the developers and the community.
I'm good with that, especially given the outcry of the community.
So can I ask a question on that? Because I honestly don't know this answer. How do we have to proceed with this? Can we table this while pursuing that and bring it back next month? Or do we have to vote on this? I know we have to vote because we have a motion on the
Correct.
table, but we can vote whatever on that motion, make another motion, amend it, whatever. But then how do we move forward? Do we vote to table and pursue a formal? I don't know how that works, do you
mean-
know?
Well, I.
Whether or not you believe, you
No,
agree with me.
I know, we're talking procedure here. Let's assume hypothetically, we're inclined to approve A, B, and G. You know, if you all have questions, then in my way of thinking, you approve A, B, and G, we vote on that. And then deny C, D, and E without prejudice, and the
And at
chair
the same
can ask,
time,
the
ask for
chair,
the
the chair
formal.
can ask, I completely, disagree with the idea, this is not properly in front of us, that's a specious argument.
Yeah.
But, we can deny the ones that there's concerns about without prejudice, and as chair, you can ask the town attorney for an opinion if you think that's appropriate.
Okay, Mark?
So let's.
Does that allow the applicant in the meantime to know that A, B, and G, they can move forward with their planning?
If we
Right.
vote it through, yeah.
Right,
If we think they're appropriate.
right. So that is the first place they need to start. And those aren't probably gonna move.
You're saying we can't approve A, B, and G?
No, she is, she's saying, yeah, because they're not really the things that are most,
Right. My
I mean,
point
they're
is,
concerning.
we
to public.
give them the ability to move forward on those.
Oh, move forward
Right.
on their own, not with the
Exactly.
town, okay.
Correct.
All right, I misunderstood you. Yeah, you're right.
So we should decline the motion and make a new motion.
No, let's vote for the motion.
Or, well, I can withdraw the motion, I can amend the motion.
Yeah.
We can vote on the motion.
Keep it clean. Decline it, yeah.
I would do that, because then you just withdraw it and do another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to withdraw the motion.
Any other motions?
Make a motion to approve A, B, and G. Station Street.
1 seconds. Was that?
So are we doing two motions then? Because A, B, and G, we're voting, we have a motion to approve, we haven't touched C, D, E, and F.
Do you want to add to the motion?
I'm just asking
I
for
was gonna
future.
do is two separate, but we can do it all inclusive.
Why don't you do it all?
And in C, D, E, and F, we decline without prejudice.
Anyone seconds?
Yeah, a second.
Any discussion?
I don't know, I still feel very like on the fence about how to handle this. I know you don't.
I'm with you on those middle ones.
Well,
We haven't voted yet, so.
No, I know.
We're in the discussion.
Yeah.
I kind of would love to table, like, I really have no problem with A, B, and G. I really have no problem with that for the most part, but I would really like the town attorney to weigh in.
Yeah.
So literally, just to clarify it for me, so A, B, and G, you would add to the other ones just to get clarification on the entire project, or you're.
How long do we have to table? Can we table something? I can't remember what our turnaround is. It 30 days or 60?
There's no contingencies from the town on A, B, and.
Right, and G, the only impact,
But the question is this a complete application that's ready to be
Fair.
built? And while, again, I said it before, the applicant has been very accommodating, listening to the feedback for, the office building and the lighting.
It's a technical issue.
It's a technical issue for me. It's not,
You spoke to the town attorney?
I sent him an email question because
But you said before, you spoke to him about the issue?
no, it's only a, right?
it's only an email. I basically said, we have the HGC public hearing tomorrow and we'll appreciate the input from the town attorney on this matter. There is an appeal on the town planning zoning decision and we have received today 7 letters in opposition. I will be contacting the applicant within the next hour, but we'll appreciate your legal advice on the subject sent on Monday, which on Monday I had said, just wanted to verify if indeed the proposal for 65 Station Street should not be discussed as part of the agenda for the HGC public hearing. We have received 4 letters in opposition, most referencing the TPC notice of the decision. Your input on this matter will be appreciated.
And it's in court to appeal the TPZ decision.
Correct.
again, none of that really.
It doesn't, I know.
No.
I'm just making sure that I understand.
So even, I mean, I'm going back again, I'm going to a different level with it. At the end of the day, we're looking at right materials, the design, all those types of things.
The
that-
hardscape.
Yeah, that doesn't get it built. It's
No.
just that if you were to build it, we gave you the certificate of appropriateness for the materials.
Correct, yes.
Within it, so that's why I feel comfortable with A, B, and G. But I get your point in the sense of, is the whole thing under a cloud at
But-
this point?
For me, as a historic preservation specialist, the site, the hardscaping, impervious surfaces, all of that sets a scene and a particular character that contributes or does not contribute to the larger historic district. And again, I can have both arguments in my head.
So the hardscape stuff we took out. We got lighting.
yes.
But that's I think that's what we're discussing, is getting that finalized.
My opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, the motion says we go forward on A, B, and G, and we punt on C's.
Deny without prejudice.
Deny without prejudice. Well, the motion's made, I'm just gonna go on my own notes.
That sounds good.
I think it's a way of allowing the applicant to know that the main building we're okay with.
Yeah,
Can we?
yeah, I mean.
Can
The
we-
design of it, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
which is
If it's
the first,
appropriate,
it's the
making
first
sure
thing
that-
that you have to start with.
And table C.
You can't build it tomorrow.
No,
Pending.
but those things can have a plan, and these other things can come in before. definitive.
I don't know what it's similar, but it is in theory, state plan. It's the same.
It's not that.
We don't have to
Because we
use
made
them, we don't have to words,
Yeah.
the without prejudice, is that, will pick up on that, because it could be with further investigation.
No, my question was, can we approve A, B, G and table C, D, E, and F pending the pursuit of formal opinion?
Why would you need to table it and as opposed to denying those without prejudice?
I
mean, in my way of thinking, that's,
It's the same.
you know, it's the
Well,
thing.
I don't know that it's.
No, I don't know if it is. I agree with you. I don't think it is the same because we're not necessarily saying we're denying it. We're saying we need more information.
Which is what
That
we've
they-
always
that
done
they-
when we
that
want
they-
information.
That the
I
applicant
do,
can't.
well, I
provide
mean,
us.
just from my experience, this is the only commission I've dealt with that has ever used deny without prejudice. It's not something I've ever felt very comfortable with. That's just my personal.
No, I think it's a misnomer in this case. Because I think we're saying we need information from. a
But the
third
question
party.
is, how do we, I think we have the power to table.
Well, that's why that part can be withdrawn in the sense of what we're requesting. If we're feeling comfortable with deny without prejudice and say with whatever the language is, with further investigation, with further follow-up, whatever it is, to be more specific with why we're not approving it.
Yeah, and tabling, I don't know if is that a technical term or is?
I mean, P and Z does it. They
Okay.
table
Then
discussion,
it's
they bring it to the next.
That is consistent.
What's the language, so when I.
But I don't know
motion,
state
if you feel-
statutes if we have that power.
What do you feel most comfortable with the language for B through F?
C through F, right?
C through F. C-
Can I ask a question of the attorneys in the room? No, I don't think so. No, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to
They
double
have a
check.
moral hazard right now.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to double check.
Conflict.
I'll go with what you guys think.
Look.
I've expressed my opinion.
Okay.
I've heard.
Your opinion is valid.
I think we do table.
I think it's
We
safe to
check
deny
with the
without
attorney.
prejudice.
And if it comes back to it, we will amend it in our next meeting of this term was used. And if going forward, we'll use X. Look, we're working with what best we got.
Yeah. So at the moment, we have approve A, B, G, and deny C through F
Without prejudice.
without prejudice. Let's vote on that one. If kind of we feel that instead of deny, it should be tabled, then let's come back with another.
Okay.
Or you can withdraw and really,
I think, I feel good on, and our intent is the same either way. It's semantics.
Yeah.
And neither one of those are right or wrong. So let's just go with what we've got as far as I'm concerned. And we can just vote on the motion, see where it goes.
okay? So let's vote on
I wish this was stronger than water.
approve A, B, and G and deny without prejudice C through F. All in favor? Okay,
Okay, so
motion doesn't pass. So is there another motion?
I will throw that back at you.
I know, I'm trying to think how to phrase it.
Yeah,
I make a motion to approve A, B, and G as submitted and table C through F pending seeking a formal,
okay,
thank you, opinion from the town
From
attorney.
town attorney.
I'll second that.
yeah. That's more specific.
Sorry, just to.
Sure.
To
Let's
approve
bring
A,
everything.
B, and G.
Yep.
As submitted
As submitted.
And table
and
C
table
through
C through F pending
a formal
a
opinion.
formal opinion by the town attorney.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe we get out of this with some prejudice stuff.
Yeah, the without prejudice is not.
Yeah.
I understand why it's used, but it's not something I'm.
So let's vote. A, B, and C as submitted. A, B, G as submitted. Table C through F pending a formal opinion by the town attorney. All in favor? Motion passes.
All opposed? Didn't want to vote for this one?
No,
No, it's only-
Oh, because Jim didn't, it's,
I think.
no, because Jim
Jim
can
can
recuse himself, but we have four
oh, okay.
and makes it quorum. It's fine.
I don't get to vote.
So the only one that Laura voted,
I got three, you got no one.
the only one that Laura voted as the one that Larry accepted.
Because it's.
Whatever.
My brain hurts.
Thank you. Let's continue. There were no minutes this time. We'll have more. We're a little bit behind on the minutes. I got it. We're back up to the meeting. So there were no minutes to approve at this time, just because we had lost our recording secretary. For everyone's, this is Chelsea. She's our new.
Boy, you just came in. She's gonna leave after this. Yeah, she quit it out.
Usually they're not this long. So there's no minutes at the moment. Sherman's report, there were 5 repairs, 51 Station Street, 331 and 385 Harbor Road, 487 Old Post Road, and 494 Pickwood Court, 965 Old Post Road. In terms of demolitions, there was only one, which was 230 Alma Drive. I'll share with you.
On the range.
Yeah. So it's that property.
Didn't we already see this one? No?
No, there was another one very similar.
So that's the one. Then in terms of violations, we had 965 Old Post Road, but we're taking that out because they came and presented today. And they'll be getting their certificate of appropriateness. As far as old business, we still have the presentations of the guidelines to the community. The last 2 months have been a little bit crazy, so we're gonna work on it and continue. The next item was the membership in the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions for CLG. I'm assuming no one has received on their personal emails. I have not received on HTC or the personal, so we'll kind of continue to ask Mary. And then the next one is the historic property inventory, which will work together with the presentation of the guidelines. I believe July. It's kind of the deadline, so we'll work on that. In terms of new business, I'm gonna say that this is Jim's last one. So we appreciate all your. If there's anything that you want to say, I know you had something.
No, you know, pleasure serving with you. The gratitude has to go to the property owners. Property owners, their patience over this. And their generosity in how they develop it. We all enjoy walking down streets in Southwood because people have spent a fortune. And it's something that's not always recognized. Anyway, I'm grateful for the experience of serving on this commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
So is this your second term?
Yes.
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 So you were on for 12 years?
I have balance issues. Otherwise, I'm fine, thank you. But that restricts my moving around and making in-person meetings. Zoom work, but you were right. It deserves an in-person meeting.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I resigned.
Got it.
We appreciate all your time.
Excellent work. Thank you, Jim.
Pleasure, fun.
Thank you.
Is
Well,
there,
the privilege of helping make Southwood.
yep.
Is this your better half?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make my motion.
Let's
It was.
give it to Jim.
Jim, you get.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Adjourned. But,
Darren and Jim?
Darren and Jim.
adjourned.
Thank you very much. The meeting is over, 6:56.